County is going to federal court demanding the return of 2020 election ballots seized by the FBI. Straight ahead, what the county is now asking for and why Fulton leaders say this fight can't wait.
And a dreary morning with fog and areas of rain, but we are going to be drying out. I'll time out the return of some hints of sunshine.
And it is day 3 of the Tara Baker murder trial. We'll get you caught up on the latest testimony from inside the courtroom. But we begin with the breaking news that we continue to follow. Fulton County leaders are fighting back after the FBI raid at the county's elections facility last week. This is newly released body cam video you're seeing on your screen right now. It was obtained by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. The footage shows the moments now at the center of a legal fight that has ramped up just hours ago. Fulton County leaders now asking for an FBI warrant to be unsealed and for the FBI to return seized files tied to the 2020 election. 11Alive's Ariana Manise explains what exactly Fulton County is asking the court to do.
The county is demanding the return of all the election materials that was seized during last week's FBI raid. They're also asking a judge to unseal the affidavit that was used to get the search warrant. During today's press conference, Chairman Rob Pitts is emphasizing the importance and how critical this legal action is. Chairman Pitts announced that this motion was filed this morning in federal court on behalf of himself and the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections. Because this case is still under seal, the county says it cannot release the full motion publicly. Pitts did criticize the raid and says the FBI gave the county no warning and no inventory of what was taken. And that's why Fulton County is asking a judge to order the return of roughly 700 boxes of 2020 election materials, including ballots, voter rolls, and ballot images. Pitts says the county does not even have copies of the record seized, raising concerns about voter privacy and election security.
Typically, I'm told, I'm no constitutional scholar, legal scholar by any means, but typically when these kinds of raids happen, you're given notice that on such and such a date the FBI is coming or somebody's coming, and be prepared. But we were given no notice whatsoever. They showed up and took the 700 boxes that they wanted. So what they're doing with them now, we don't know. Typically we're given copies. We don't even have copies of what they took. So it's a problem. What are they doing with them? Where are they? Who has them? We don't know.
Pitts also revealed a stunning claim that he received a call before the raids that arrests of Georgia election officials were coming down. He says after the raid, just this week, he received another call saying that the county should not relax as those arrests can still happen. We will be following this case as it plays out. Reporting from Fulton County, I'm Ariana Manise for 11Alive.
All right, meteorologist Melissa Noor joining us now. Melissa, it felt a lot warmer as I was coming into work today. I am hoping that's the start of a trend. I'm hoping.
A little bit of both, Zach. But the drear outside, we're going to see that just for today. We should see slightly brighter skies moving back in tomorrow. But yeah, milder start today with the clouds moving in, the rain showers overnight that kept us in the 40s. But that rain is still slowly working through areas near and south and east of Atlanta. We're tracking that on radar right now. A lot of this rain is fairly widespread south and east of Atlanta. So still on radar, we have some rain falling in Athens down through Madison County. Also out towards DeKalb County, we've got some rain that's pretty steady there. Peachtree City, the back edge of that shower activity, and the rain really picks up as you travel down along I-75 from Henry County in McDonough through Locust Grove and in towards Griffin as well. You can see here in downtown Atlanta, we are dry. There's clouds and kind of mist outside, but it's in DeKalb County when you drive east that you pick up on some of that rainfall. So still a bit dreary outside. Temperature in Atlanta right now, though, is on the mild side. We're still tracking some of that low cloud cover over the city. Visibility has increased a bit since early this morning. We briefly had a dense fog advisory that has now expired. 53 though outside at the moment, 49 in Canton, Blairsville 49 as well. You can see forecast track keeping some of those nuisance light spotty showers in the forecast all the way through the afternoon, but gradually seeing that rain clear out of here. And Zach, maybe some hints of sunshine just in time for sunset. We'll track what your weekend forecast looks like. Here's a hint. It's dry for the first time in a month. We'll have that for you coming up.
We like the sound of that, Melissa. Thank you. Right now, police need your help finding a 27-year-old man from Milton. Police say Nathan Smith ran out of his house and was last seen Tuesday around 6 in the morning on Baldwin Drive. Authorities say he might be disoriented and he needs your help. If you see Nathan, please contact the Milton Police Department. A 4-month-old child from Dorville now back safe with his family, and his 18-year-old father, accused of kidnapping him, is now behind bars. Investigators say Antonio Cordova took off with the baby when police tried to arrest him after a domestic violence call yesterday. We know Cordova has criminal history of family violence and aggravated stalking. Police say he has outstanding warrants from other agencies as well. 11Alive News was the only one there last night after the baby was found and reunited with his family here at the police department. The family was inside the department for some time before coming out and leaving. And it is day 3 in the murder trial of Edric Faust, accused of killing UGA Law School student Tara Baker. Baker was killed in 2001 after investigators say she was sexually assaulted and stabbed with her apartment, then set on fire. 11Alive's Marissa Sarback has been following this case all week long. Marissa, what is the latest happening right now?
Well, Zach, they just went into lunch recess, but just before that, we were still hearing from the state's witnesses. A woman on the stand currently said that she was near Tara Baker's apartment at the time of her murder and that she was working there with her family's tow truck company. The jury listened to her original interview with law enforcement from 25 years ago, talking about the description of a man in the area at that time who seemed suspicious. She described him as a black male about 19 or 20 years old, wearing an orange hoodie at that time. They also put up a sketch who they say she saw that day. The defense, in their cross-examination, argued it wasn't Edric Faust. We also heard from a couple of fire experts who broke down details on how that fire could have started in Tara Baker's apartment.
What were the items in Miss Baker's room that contributed to the size of the fire in her room? Do you know?
I'd say the primary fuel load was the bed itself, the mattress, maybe a little bit the box spring. There was some charring of the wood frame. I think in the report there's written notes that there's some consumption of parts of the frame, but you know, that was the bulk of the fuel load. Certainly fuels on the floor were generally in pretty good shape.
Now, this case was cold for 2 decades until new technology allowed forensic scientists to re-examine preserved DNA from the scene in 2024. The prosecution is basing their case on the fact that those forensic scientists say there is a 1 in 800 quadrillion chance that DNA belongs to anyone other than Edric Faust. The defense arguing there are no eyewitnesses, no fingerprints at the scene, no direct evidence.
Marissa, thank you. I know you're going to stay on top of this case. All right, coming up, one of the nation's most prominent newspapers is severely slashing its workforce. Find out who's being let go at the Washington Post. And later, there is a new push for greater civil rights protections. Hear why one state senator says it is needed more than ever in our state. Authorities in Arizona continue to ask the public for help as they continue their search for Nancy Guthrie, who is the mother of Today Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie. The 84-year-old woman was reported missing on Sunday when she failed to attend a church service. Investigators are treating the disappearance now as a crime. Meanwhile, Savannah Guthrie has appealed for prayers for her mother's safe return. NBC's Liz Kreutz reports from Tucson, Arizona.
Well, hey there. I think we are all hoping that by now we'd have some more information to share. But as of my last conversation with the sheriff, he says they still don't have any solid lead or suspect. It has now been nearly 72 hours since Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home, and this continues to be a critical race against time. We know she needs that life-saving medication that she takes. And we are learning some new details, though. NBC News is aware of reports of 2 unsubstantiated ransom notes that were sent to 2 news outlets. Law enforcement has not verified the accuracy or the legitimacy of these ransom notes, but they do say they are investigating. The Pima County Sheriff told us that they are sending any of these tips to FBI as well, and we know that the FBI is now involved. President Trump was actually asked about Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. He called it a terrible situation, and when asked, he said he was willing to potentially commit to sending additional federal resources here to help with this search. A big question that we have right now is why law enforcement hasn't been able to obtain or figure out if it even exists footage from the surveillance cameras at Nancy Guthrie's home. The sheriff tells us they're working with some of the tech companies to see if there is any footage from those overnight hours, and if so, if it could be of value to them where they could potentially see any kind of suspect. Here in Tucson, the community is rallying behind the family. Tonight, a local church is hosting and organizing a candlelight service for Nancy to pray for her safe return. And as for Savannah, she understandably is no longer going to be going to the Olympics, where she was scheduled to host the opening ceremonies in Italy this Friday. She's obviously going to stay here in Tucson as the family continues their search. Back to you.
All new today, the Washington Post has begun sweeping layoffs in a major restructuring of this storied newspaper. On a Zoom call this morning, the paper's executive editor said roughly 1/3 of staff across all departments are being cut as part of what he described as a, quote, broad strategic reset. This includes eliminating the sports department in its current form, suspending its daily Post Reports podcast, and restructuring local reporting. These moves come amid years of financial challenges and declining subscriptions, and follow pleas from newsroom staff urging owner Jeff Bezos, who is the Amazon founder, to preserve key reporting units.
All right, outside right now, a bit of a dreary, gloomy Wednesday. We're looking live at our tower camera, which normally you can see the midtown and downtown skyline from this angle. We don't see any of that. We're up in the clouds right now. We're tracking that rain on radar as well. And we've had this extra push of moisture moving in the last couple of hours, keeping some of that rain fairly persistent south and east of downtown Atlanta. Meanwhile, to the north, it's been areas of patchy, dense fog that's kept those gray skies around for your Wednesday morning and into the afternoon here. 12:43 your time right now on radar. We're tracking some of that light rain still pushing through some of our eastern counties, clipping kind of Snellville, southern Gwinnett County, out in Rockdale and Newton counties, Walton County as well. And as you drive along I-20, it's kind of a rainy drive for you, driving all the way out towards Lake Oconee, as well as down I-75 south from Henry County down to Butts County as well. We're also tracking some of that rain in Meriwether County. And this is the 3-hour loop. And I want to show you this because you can see we were kind of dry for a few hours this morning. That rain clipping back to the north and west, so few dreary hours ahead here in the southeast side of the metro. By 3 o'clock today, most of this rain is clearing out. There'll be a little bit of drizzle that may linger, but then we should see dry skies moving back in by 6:30 this evening. There might be some hints of brighter skies just before sunset, but overall that cloud cover, it's here for the rest of today. It's here for tonight. I think by the ending of tomorrow, we'll see more breaks in those clouds and hints of sunshine coming out. Not a lot of rain with this system. We did get 1/4 of an inch to about 1/2 inch on average. And although that's not a lot, it's going to help this drought situation not get much worse. The latest drought monitor will come out tomorrow. It will not include, though, rain from today. Temperatures across the board running just below average, but it feels with the higher humidity not too bad outside. We're at 53 in Atlanta, 49 Athens, Canton, also in Gainesville, 50 in Dalton, and 49 right now in Carrollton. This afternoon, rain showers are kind of drizzly on and off south and east of Atlanta, but overall it's those clouds that will be very stubborn and not want to erode away. Temperatures at the moment are about where we're going to top out for highs. By the end of the afternoon, slightly cooler air tries to build in, and you'll notice that difference outside tomorrow. Cooler and drier air building in. That'll drop our high temperatures by about 10 degrees to the mid 40s. By Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, though, we do not have a cold snap heading this way. That little dip down the roller coaster, it's very short-lived. We're going back to the 50s Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday. So forecast track showing the rain clearing out. Clouds are still with us overnight tonight. We'll step out Thursday morning. Colder than today by about 15 degrees. A lot of our lows right around 30 degrees Thursday morning. Then by the end of Thursday, there's that drier air arriving with some brighter skies by the afternoon. A little blustery out there with temperatures in the 40s. Clear skies take us into Friday morning and Friday afternoon. Southwesterly wind pumping us back into the 50s. So a little cooler tomorrow with sunshine returning by the end of the day. Then we bring in the warming trend that'll last through the weekend. For your weekend, great looking weekend. Sunshine on Saturday. Chilly start both mornings in the 30s, 55 in the afternoon. Sunday, though, Super Bowl Sunday, up to the low 60s. Not too bad. Now, I know it's been very cold outside. We've been dealing with a lot of winter weather the last several weeks, but this is also severe weather preparedness week. Today in the state did their statewide tornado drill. So if your kids come home from school today and talk about doing that duck and cover, that's probably why. And this graphic shows you every single month of the year we can and do see tornadoes in North Georgia, except the interesting part is last year we had tornadoes February through June. We had no tornadoes the last 6 months here in our viewing area. All right, when we're talking about tornado safety, we also talk about in school systems. You know, the kids know where to duck and cover at school, but where do you shelter at home? Remember, go to that lowest level of your house, interior room, away from the windows and doors, lower level bathroom, hallway, closet. Underneath the staircase, all a great idea. If you have a basement, of course, that's always going to be your best place to shelter. For this afternoon, staying mainly cloudy, rain south and east, drizzle and fog may linger here in the metro, but we're in the 50s. We're going to take a step back with those numbers. Tomorrow down to a high of 45 degrees. Friday, really nice day, 57, little breezy at times. We'll be in the 50s to start the weekend, low 60s on Sunday. Next week, warmer air surges into North Georgia. Those highs will be running in the 60s Monday and Tuesday, and perhaps close to 70 degrees by the middle of next week. There's more news ahead on 11Alive Plus right after this.
Welcome back. We are about 1 month into the state legislative session, and while affordability and election security have taken center stage, they are far from the only issues lawmakers are thinking about. Some Senate Democrats now are hoping to reintroduce the Civil Rights Act of 2025, which, if enacted, would protect Georgians from discrimination in employment, housing, and in public places. Earlier this morning on 11Alive Plus, Jonathan Martin caught up with State Senator Sonia Halpern, who is co-sponsoring the bill.
The bill that you are co-sponsoring says that Georgia is one of only 3 states without comprehensive state civil rights laws protecting people from discrimination in those areas that we talked about: employment, housing, and public accommodations. So how does this how does this proposal rectify some of those blind spots, if you will?
Well, I'm glad to join you. And I introduced this bill last year, and it did not get movement. But as we are at the start of Black History Month, I think it is only right for us to think about the generations of people before us who actually were fighting for fairness and equal treatment under the law. This particular bill seeks to do that very same thing. Georgia is one of only 3 states. We stand with Alabama and Mississippi as not having a comprehensive civil rights law on the books. And so this would rectify that, declaring for sure that Georgia protects Georgians, that you cannot be discriminated against on the basis of your race, your sex, your sexual orientation, your gender identity, your religion, your age, your disabilities. And so it would allow us to just say for sure what is allowed and what is not allowed.
All right, so you certainly talked about this coming up before, obviously a new year, and maybe new opportunities to get this passed. You'll certainly need some bipartisan support. What have you heard from your colleagues, specifically those on the other side of the aisle, about this measure?
Well, I'll tell you that this bill, as introduced last year, had some Republican sponsors on it as well. So I think that this is not an issue that is just a Democratic issue. I also had introduced a study committee for us to dive deeper into this topic over the interim when we were not in session. And though that passed with Republican support, it did not get funded. So that work didn't get done. It's really just a matter of making a push again this year, which we've already started to do.
Breaking news right now, the man convicted of trying to assassinate President Donald Trump has now been sentenced to life in prison. A federal judge in Florida handed down the sentence today to Ryan Ruth, who targeted the then former president and candidate at a golf course in 2024. Prosecutors called Ruth unrepentant and dangerous the judge agreeing he should never be released. Ruth will now spend the rest of his life behind bars with no possibility of parole. And in the battle against Alzheimer's, organizations from all over Atlanta are armed with a mic and a message. The battle for the brain pits 10 teams against each other, aiming to raise millions for Alzheimer's research. 11Alive's Joe Ripley shares how the lip-syncing competition is making an impact.
Susan Watson and Michelle Rooks are bonded by friendship. They're also bonded by a disease.
Susan and I are both personally affected with our moms, and we saw how isolating and just heartbreaking the disease was.
The two started a Facebook group in 2017 called Daughters Against Alzheimer's, a way to connect to communities struggling with an incurable chronic disease.
We can lock arms and not just focus on the sadness, but kind of create joy from that sadness and do something with it and make an impact.
That bold impact happens every year with Battle for the Brain. The lip-syncing competition aims to raise awareness and funds, flip the script on Alzheimer's, unite people together, and move scientific research forward.
I've been Gene Simmons. I have been Slash from Guns N' Roses. I have been part of the Bee Gees.
Max Hillsman performs in the hopes of finding prevention of a disease that took his grandmother and father-in-law.
It's very promising to see the advancements in research and in testing.
Last year, Battle for the Brain raised $1.5 million. It's funded advances like blood biomarker testing, which can help detect Alzheimer's and lead to earlier intervention.
My mom said, scream from the rooftops about this.
And whether they're screaming or singing, the message from these daughters is clear.
Don't hide it. Go to the doctor, tell a loved one, share your story, get it out there, and that's going to help us make even more of a difference.
Joe Ripley, 11Alive News.
So still a little bit dreary out there. Some areas south and east of Atlanta get